If you've ever been disillusioned, disappointed, or discouraged in your search for love, and you know there has to be a better way to find the healthy, soul-filling love you've always longed for, then you've discovered the podcast for you. I know, as Ken's work personally has led me to find the love of my life. So here's your host of Deeper Dating, Ken Page.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Deeper Dating Podcast. I'm Ken Page, and I'm a psychotherapist. I'm the author of the best-selling book, Deeper Dating, and the creator of the Deeper Dating Intensive. And I'm so glad to be with you here today, where I'm going to be talking about one of the most powerful ways to find love that also heals your heart and connects you with other human beings. It's a way to get a date by fighting hate. And I'm going to be talking about this more. But first, let me just say that in this and every episode, I'm going to share with you the greatest tools that I know to help you find love and keep it flourishing and heal your life in the process. Because the skills of dating really are the skills of intimacy. And the skills of intimacy are the greatest skills of all for having a rich and meaningful life. So let me jump in. In this work, I spend a lot of time talking about healing a particular kind of pain, the pain of loneliness, the pain of longing for love, of longing for an intimate relationship, or longing for the relationship that we're in to grow deeper. And that's what I focus on. But there is another pain that so many of us are experiencing and that I'm experiencing in my life at this time, and that's the pain of this world that we are living in now. In the United States, detention camps, unmonitored factories of cruelty, families being torn apart, citizens unarmed being shot, and a government trying to cover this over. There's so much, families being torn apart. These things keep so many of us up at night. What is happening to our country? And not just in the United States. There are so many other places where freedom is being eroded, where the environment is being wounded. And we speak a lot about that pain too. But there is a way that these pains connect, and where the solution to these pains connect. And here's what it is. Something that I have seen in my decades of work as a psychotherapist, in my work as a coach, in my leading intensives with people, and in my own life, is that the quickest way in many cases to find love, the wisest way, the quickest way, the way to get things moving in your search for love is to go to events with people who share your values. And this isn't just true for single people. This is true for people who are in relationships that want to build more fellowship and community. Where do you have that happen best? In environments where there's an immediacy, where there's something that matters, where it's not like online dating where the only thing that you're sharing is this flat desire to get a date. The more value and meaning is connected to your search for love and the way that you meet people, the quicker your chances are of finding healthy love. The thing is, though, that, for example, in this kind of state that so many of us are in, anxiety and grief, a feeling of helplessness, a feeling of anger, the knowledge that something essential, basic human rights and values are being threatened here and in many parts of the world, when we're in that state, it doesn't just affect how we vote or what news we read, it affects our nervous system. And when our nervous systems are overwhelmed, love could start to feel very far away. And that's why I want to talk about something that might seem pretty counterintuitive. But it's deeply connected to everything I teach about finding healthy, lasting love. These are powerful times to find love. And if you understand how to work with that and not against it, you actually have a tremendous opportunity to connect to your own heart, to help the world, to have an impact on the world, and to get some great dates. I'm not kidding about that. I heard Marianne Williamson speak once, and she said that somebody was kind of criticizing her work and said something like, I know why people come to your events. It's to get a date. And Marianne's response was, yeah, that sounds pretty smart and pretty great. All for it. And that's true, because you're going to an event with people who share your values and your passions. So one of the core principles in deeper dating is this. If you want to find love that lasts, you don't do the same old things. You do new things. You break patterns. You don't look for love harder. You look for, well, maybe you do. But more importantly, you look for love wiser. And one of the wisest things that you can do is to put yourself in environments where your deepest values are already being lived. Not just talked about on a dating profile and not just shared about over coffee, but lived. So, if you start thinking about what you're passionate about changing in this world, healing in this world, helping in this world, maybe it's not that kind of activism thing. Maybe it's just inner growth. 3 cheers for you as well. But for those of us who are struggling and suffering with this profound erosion of human rights that's happening, we can join our passion for helping the world with our passion for finding love and building community and building fellowship. So who goes to these events? People who want to make a difference. People who have a generosity of spirit. People who care about the same things you care about. And those are qualities that actually can predict long-term love. If you're wanting to stand up around your values of dignity, care for the earth, protection of vulnerable communities, truth, decency, compassion, free speech, I can't tell you, and I wouldn't tell you what to believe politically, but I am taking a stand for honesty, for decency, and for treating other human beings and the earth with care, decency, and respect, as are so many of you. But here's another thing. When we feel like something we love is at risk, energy rises. When danger comes, fear arises, passion arises, bravery arises, and meaning arises. And those things are passionate. Those things are sexy. Those things are alive. And when we remember what matters, we become more alive, more engaged, more passionate, more ourselves. And that means more noticeable, more that our radiance and our aliveness and our humanity is seen by other people. And also, psychologically, another thing that happens in environments like this is that people drop their masks. They're real. They're themselves. They stop performing. They stop being vague. They show who they are, and they show what they're willing to stand for. And that is why so often people fall in love during intense experiences. Not because the moment is easy, but because it's real and they are real. There's this wonderful study, and it's often called Love on a Suspension Bridge. And it went like this, very famous study, went like this. There were 2 different bridges, and the lower bridge was one that it was a very peaceful, easy bridge that went over, I don't know, a creek or a brook or something like that. And then there was a higher bridge. I think it was like 250 feet. It was a suspension bridge above this raging river. And an experiment was done where researchers, or people posing as researchers, although they actually were researchers, interviewed people crossing these 2 bridges. And what they found is that the people on that scary higher bridge were more likely to have sexual fantasies about the people who spoke with them and interviewed them on the bridge, more likely to consider asking those people out on a date and kind of more engaged romantically, sexually, erotically, emotionally with that experience of meeting those people. And one reason that was described for that is that fear activates eros, erotic interest, romantic interest. But I think it's something else too. I think that when you're in a 250-foot high suspension bridge above a raging river, that's kind of existential. And when things become existential, you start feeling more about what matters. You become more alive. So if you join whatever movements there are that are about the things that matter the most to you, that are helping the world, that are helping you stand up for the earth, for other human beings, this is a powerful way to meet. We are in crisis, and people joining in crisis bond more deeply because it's existential and they are alive. So instead of just trying to date harder or scroll more, why not go where your values are already alive in other people? There's a few parts here. So now I'm going to talk about where to look specifically, not just with people who share your values, but to find places where you might be able to date people, and then what to do when you get there. So if this speaks to you, I invite you to look, and even if it doesn't speak to you, I still invite you to look for community organizations that are grounded in giving and care and dignity, or spiritual groups or faith-based groups that are responding to suffering with activism and compassion, mutual aid organizations, service organizations, advocacy organizations, or artistic and healing communities responding creatively to what's happening. Because these aren't just places to meet a date. They're places where kindness and courage and care and generosity show. And that makes a huge deal. So, say something else here. It's very concrete. It may seem, like taking advantage of the situation, but I truly don't think it is. That you also look for environments wherever the kind of people you're attracted to or drawn to or share values with or share other connections with, like it might be an LGBTQ group. It might be a group with people who might share the same neurodiversity issues, a group with people with similar disabilities, people of the same race, the same culture, the same religion. That's totally cool. The kind of age range that you're interested in. Any of these kind of things, look for that because you're going to be spending your time doing this. Why not do it in environments where you might be able to find love? If you're in a relationship already and that's not what you're looking for, then that is not an issue for you, but you still want to go where your values are touched the most. Also, then, when you get there, it's a funny thing. There are all of these environments that are built for single people to meet, but they're kind of flat of values. And then there are all of these environments that are rich with values, but they make it really hard to meet people because that's not what this is for. That's why I created deeper dating events so many years ago and hope to do that again. So, when you get there, I want to support you in being brave. If it helps you to go with the friend who pushes you to meet that attractive person who you're noticing nearby, but you're scared to talk to, your friend might help you. But activate bravery. You don't want to just go to these events. Well, let me just say something. If maybe you're really shy, you might need to go to these events a number of times before you talk much to people. But I still want to encourage you to be brave in communicating with people. Do not just scout out people who are hot. Talk to people who have beautiful smiles. Talk to people you're interested in. But also, talk to the people who seem hot and attractive to you. Absolutely. Don't just narrow it down to those folks, because that's kind of creepy. Talk to everybody. Build connections, but talk to the people that you might be interested in too. Do it. You deserve it. And also, when you talk to them, build the connection, see if they might be interested in a cup of coffee. There's nothing wrong with doing that at these events. You don't want to do it like the first second. You want to obviously appropriately build connection, but there is nothing wrong with doing that. And if you do that, and when you do that, I really also encourage you not just to talk about the logistics of this event or this community or the injustices that you're addressing, but talk about why this matters to you. That's kind of the next level of personal vulnerability in your sharing. How does this touch your personal history? For me, for example, these ICE detention centers are so horrifying to me because my dad was a concentration camp survivor. That's not the only reason, but it's a reason. And obviously, people who don't come from that background will be horrified by this as well. But for me, it touches very deep roots. Seeing children separated from families, parents separated from their children, that rips me apart. I'm a dad. These are things that I could talk about if I was on a date or if I was just in my situation more, just talking with someone who I connected to at these events. So let yourself be vulnerable at the same time also. Now, I also want to say it doesn't mean everyone needs to protest. There are ways to give that are not about protesting. Maybe it would be a soup kitchen. Maybe none of that stuff is for you. It doesn't have to be your path. Maybe it would be a spiritual event. Maybe it would be a personal growth event. But for those of us who are challenged by the pain of what we're seeing and a sense of helplessness, who also want more intimacy in our lives, let me tell you, love grows fastest in the environments where your values are activated. And right now, social engagement and moral engagement are powerful, powerful examples of that. But the key is alignment. And alignment really is not a passive thing. The more you're living it and acting it, the more that spark is likely to happen. So when you do this, you save so much time. You show your heart. Other people show their heart. You glow. There's real-time bonding. You don't have to guess that this is a caring person. You don't have to guess that this is a giving person. And this saves enormous time and also protects you from unnecessary heartbreak. So this was a little bit of a scary episode to do. And I hope and pray that so many people who are listening stop and think, A, are there things that I can do that will help me with the feeling of helplessness, that will make me feel like I'm giving to the world, that I am giving back, that I'm doing something good? B, are there environments where that's happening, where I'm kind of potentially likely to meet somebody that I might want to date? C, when I do that, am I willing to reveal myself? Am I willing to be brave? Do I need a friend to help me to do that? And D, I guess what I would say is, if this is sparking you, if it's touching you, this is an arena where your values, your passion, and your longing for connectedness can all meet together. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to connecting on the next episode of the Deeper Dating Podcast.
And that's it for today's episode of Deeper Dating. Be sure to go to deeperdatingpodcast.com as Ken has a few more gifts for you. Then join us on the next episode.